There's a quiet ache that comes when you've loved and lost, when you've held someone in your arms and thought, maybe this is it, only to watch that connection fade into the distance. You tell yourself you're fine. You laugh with friends, you keep moving. But late at night, when the world is silent, there's still that question humming beneath your ribs. Will I ever find the one who's truly meant for me? Not the one who simply stays, but the one whose presence feels like home, whose absence feels like the air's been taken from the room. If you're listening right now, maybe you've met someone who makes your chest tighten in the best way. Or maybe you've met no one yet, but you still feel that quiet pull, like the universe is gently turning your face towards something it doesn't want you to miss. This isn't about fairy tale perfection. It's about recognition. That instant when you look at another soul and some unspoken part of you whispers, "Oh, there you are." Here's the thing. Soulmates don't always come wrapped in fireworks. Sometimes they arrive as a slow sunrise, steady and warm, melting the frost you didn't even know had settled on your heart. And when it's real, when it's the kind of bond the universe seems to nudge into place, you'll feel it in ways you can't quite put into words, but you'll know it's not ordinary. So if your heart has been carrying doubts, if you've been wondering whether what you feel is just infatuation or something deeper, you're in the right place. We're going to walk through the signs, 3 of them that point to something rare and undeniable, signs that the universe may be weaving your paths together with more intention than you think. And while we talk, I want you to notice what stirs in you, not just what you agree with, but what you feel. If at any moment you catch yourself nodding, smiling, or maybe even holding back a tear, that's not an accident. That's your inner compass telling you you're closer to the truth than you've been in a long time. And if this resonates, if it makes you feel a little less alone, I'd be honored if you stayed, if you became part of this little circle we're creating here. You can follow along, share your thoughts in the comments, and help me keep these conversations alive for the people who need them most. Because the truth is, sometimes all it takes is a few words at the right time to remind you that love is still possible, still worth it, and maybe, just maybe, already on its way to you. The first sign is subtle, almost invisible to the outside world, but it's the most powerful. When you're with him, you feel an unshakable sense of safety, not because he shields you from every storm, but because his presence makes the storms feel survivable. It's not the absence of conflict or difficulty. It's the way your nervous system exhales around him. Your body recognizes something before your mind can explain it. You don't have to perform. You don't have to shrink yourself. You don't have to be easy to love, to be loved. I'm not talking about safety in the sense of comfort that keeps you stuck. I'm talking about the deep, cellular knowing that you can be your most unfiltered self and still be met with open hands. You could be laughing one moment and confessing your darkest thought the next, and he wouldn't flinch. He wouldn't try to fix you with platitudes or judge you with silence. He'd just stay. And it's strange, isn't it? Because so many of us have learned to equate love with tension, with the constant anxiety of not knowing if someone's feelings will vanish overnight. But when it's him, when it's the one, the chaos inside you slows. You begin to notice the things you'd never seen before. The sound of his breathing beside you when you wake at 3 a.m., the way he listens like every word you say has weight, the stillness in his eyes when the world feels too loud. The universe knows that real love can't grow in fear, so it sends you someone whose energy feels like an anchor. It's not that you never feel pain, it's that you no longer feel alone in it. And the beauty is, once you've experienced this kind of connection, you can't go back to chasing people who make you question your worth. If right now you're thinking of someone and your heart is swelling with a mix of longing and relief, maybe you've already met him. Maybe you're just afraid to believe it because believing means risking loss. But here's the thing, when the universe aligns 2 souls, the risk is never greater than the reward. This safety, This deep calm is the first whisper from something bigger than you both, saying, "Pay attention, this matters." And once you've heard that whisper, you can't unhear it. The second sign is that your connection feels eerily familiar, like you've known him for lifetimes, even if you only met weeks ago. It's that strange déjà vu, not the kind where you're trying to remember if you've seen his face before, but the kind where your soul leans forward and says, "I remember you." You can be sitting across from him, sharing a meal or telling a story, and out of nowhere, you're hit with this quiet certainty. This isn't new. This isn't random. It's as if every moment leading up to now was just the long road back to him. You might even catch yourself smiling for no reason, the kind of smile that comes from relief rather than amusement. Relief because you've finally found the rhythm you didn't realize you'd been missing. And it's not just about the sweetness. This familiarity runs deeper. It's in the way you can talk for hours without running out of things to say, or sit in total silence and still feel understood. It's in the way your arguments, when they happen, don't feel like a battle to win, but a bridge to cross together. He gets your humor, even the odd offbeat parts no one else laughs at. He understands your silences, even when you can't explain them yourself. Some people might say, "That's just compatibility." But you know it's more than that. Compatibility is about matching. This is about recognition. You don't have to work for it. You don't have to study him like a stranger, because some part of you already knows the terrain. And yes, that can be terrifying, because when you recognize someone this deeply, the idea of losing them feels unbearable. But that fear is also proof that this bond is real. Carl Jung once said that two people don't just meet by accident, they are drawn together by the deepest patterns of their being. And maybe that's why, from the very beginning, you felt less like you were meeting and more like you were remembering. It's in these moments when you feel like you've stepped into a story that began long before you were born that the universe quietly places its hand on your shoulder and says, "See, I've been leading you here all along." The third sign is that being with him doesn't just make you feel seen, it changes you. Not in the way you've been changed before, where you twisted yourself into someone smaller just to keep the peace, but in the way a seed changes when it's given sunlight and water. You grow without even realizing you're growing. He doesn't push you with harsh words or demand you be better. He inspires you simply by being who he is. Around him, you catch yourself wanting to dream bigger, speak more honestly, forgive more easily. You notice parts of yourself waking up, the laughter you thought was gone, the courage you buried after being hurt. He reflects back the version of you you always hoped was still in there. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Love like this will hold a mirror to your fears. It will make you face the places you've been hiding from. But here's the difference. He doesn't walk away when he sees your shadows. He holds your hand through them. And in that steady presence, you find the bravery to finally heal. You might even notice that the patterns you once repeated, the chasing, the overgiving, the silence you kept just to avoid conflict, start to fall away. Not because you forced yourself to change, but because with him, you no longer feel the need to earn love by suffering for it. This shift isn't small. It's the kind of change the universe celebrates, because it means you're stepping into the love you were always meant to receive. And maybe that's the greatest sign of all. A soulmate doesn't just fit into your life, they help you create a new one. One where your heart is open, not because it's never been broken, but because it's finally found a reason to stay open. So if you're sitting here wondering whether the universe wants you together, ask yourself this: am I becoming more of who I truly am with him, or less? Because real love, destined love, will always make you more. And here's the quiet truth. The universe rarely shouts when it wants two people together. It will keep finding ways to place you back in each other's path. Sometimes it's through chance encounters that feel anything but chance. Sometimes it's in the way your lives begin to intertwine naturally, without the force or exhaustion you've known in the past. You'll notice little alignments, timing that just works, doors that open at the right moment, conversations that seem to appear exactly when you need them. It won't always be smooth. The universe isn't promising perfection, only purpose. There will be days where you misunderstand each other, moments when the weight of life pulls at you in opposite directions. But beneath it all, there's an undercurrent pulling you closer, a pull that feels stronger than pride, stronger than fear. This is why, even after arguments, you find yourselves wanting to come back together, not because you can't be apart, but because being apart feels unnatural. He becomes not your escape from the world, but the place you return to in order to face it. And it's in these patterns, this gravity between you, that you begin to trust something bigger than logic. You stop asking, "Is this too good to be true?" and start asking, "How can I protect this, nurture this?" Because you realize the gift you've been given isn't something to hold lightly. The universe doesn't bring everyone a connection like this. And when it does, it doesn't shout. It sends you whispers, it sends you signs, it sends you a person who quietly changes the way you breathe. The rest is up to you. You can resist, you can doubt, or you can lean in fully, recklessly, vulnerably. Because if you've found someone who makes you feel safe, someone whose presence feels like a memory, and someone who helps you become more of yourself, you might not just be in love. You might be standing exactly where the universe always meant for you to be. And if you're here, listening to these words, there's a reason. Maybe the universe has been nudging you gently, or maybe it's been screaming through the quiet moments you've tried to ignore. You can call it fate, coincidence, divine timing, whatever feels right for you, but deep down, you know this connection is not ordinary. Think about it. How many people have passed through your life without leaving a mark? How many faces have blurred together, conversations forgotten within days? Yet somehow, he stays. His voice lingers in your head when the world is silent. His laugh lives in your chest like a favorite song. The smallest details, a shared glance, a word only you two understand, become anchors you didn't even know you needed. When the universe writes two names into the same chapter, it's not always obvious at first. Sometimes it disguises the blessing in the ordinary. You might meet in a place you never wanted to be, under circumstances you wish were different. But later, you'll look back and realize every detour, every heartbreak, every wrong turn was just moving you closer to this one point. That's the thing about a soulmate: they don't erase your past. They give it meaning. Every wound becomes a stepping stone. Every ending, a quiet beginning you couldn't yet see. And when you stand in front of them, you don't just feel like you've found them. You feel like you've finally found yourself. So maybe the question isn't, "Is he my soulmate?" Maybe the better question is, "Am I ready to believe that I deserve this kind of love?" Because the universe can bring him to you, align every star in your favor, but only you can choose to receive it. And if you can stand in that truth, even trembling, you'll find that love like this doesn't just happen to you, it happens for you. It shapes you, heals you, and calls you forward into the life you were always meant to live. When you finally allow yourself to receive it, something inside you softens. The walls you've built don't crumble all at once, they lower piece by piece. Every time he proves he's not here to hurt you. Every time he listens without interrupting. Every time he shows up when it would have been easier to leave. It's a slow trust, the kind that feels foreign if you've only ever known love laced with fear. And yet, with him, you start to believe that maybe love isn't supposed to feel like bracing for impact. Maybe it's supposed to feel like leaning back into arms that will still be there when you open your eyes. You catch yourself smiling more often, Not because everything in your life is perfect, but because you feel lighter carrying it all. He shares the load not by taking away your struggles, but by walking beside you through them. And in return, you find yourself wanting to protect him too, not from life itself, but from the loneliness you both knew before finding each other. And here's the part no one tells you: when the universe brings you your person, the love you give each other starts to ripple outward. Friends notice, family notices, even strangers feel it. Because love like this doesn't stay contained. It changes the energy in the room, the way you speak, the way you move through the world. It's no longer about the grand declarations or the perfect Instagram moments. It's in the little things: the way he makes you tea without asking, the way your hand fits in his when crossing the street, the way he remembers the smallest detail you mentioned weeks ago. These are the things that build a life. These are the things the universe wants you to notice. And once you see it, really see it, you can't unsee it. You can't go back to pretending that something ordinary will ever be enough, because now you know deep in your bones what extraordinary feels like. There comes a night, you don't plan it, you don't even see it coming, when you realize you've stopped waiting for the other shoe to drop. You're lying there beside him, maybe in the quiet after a long day, and it hits you. You're not scanning for danger anymore. You're not preparing escape routes in your mind. You're simply there, fully, without the constant hum of doubt that used to keep you guarded. It's not that you've forgotten the pain you've been through. It's that his presence has given your heart enough proof to believe again. He's shown you consistency, and in a world where people vanish the moment things get hard, consistency is rare. It's priceless. It's sacred. You start to notice that the way he loves you isn't flashy or loud. It's steady, and that steadiness becomes the rhythm you trust. It's in how he answers your calls without making you feel like you're a burden. How he notices when something's wrong, even when you're pretending you're fine. How he remembers the dreams you've spoken about only once, and quietly encourages them when you've almost forgotten. And here's the thing: the universe doesn't send you someone like this just so you can feel good for a little while. It sends them to awaken something in you, to teach you the difference between being chosen for what you offer and being cherished for who you are. That's a lesson you carry for life. One day, maybe years from now, you'll look back on the moment you met him and see it clearly. You'll see how the timing, the circumstances, even the heartbreaks before all of it was part of a map you didn't know you were following. And you'll realize that the love you have now didn't just happen. It was built, moment by moment, choice by choice, with someone who was always meant to find you. That's when you'll understand. Soulmates aren't found. They're recognized. And in that recognition, something shifts forever. You stop chasing the kind of love that keeps you guessing, and you start protecting the kind of love that lets you rest. You realize that the true miracle isn't that you found each other, it's that you were both ready when you did. Because readiness matters. The universe can cross your paths 100 times, but if your hearts aren't open, if you're still carrying the weight of old battles you haven't laid down, you'll pass each other by without even knowing what you've missed. But when you've done the work, when you've faced yourself, when you've learned to stand on your own, the meeting hits differently. You recognize him not as your missing half, but as the soul who stands beside you whole. It's not a desperate clinging, it's a mutual choosing. Every day, through the quiet mornings and the restless nights, through the moments when life feels effortless and the ones when it feels impossibly heavy. And even in those heavy moments, you notice something you're not afraid of breaking anymore. Because now, you have someone who knows how to help you put the pieces back together. The universe loves to weave its signs into the smallest things. A song that plays at the exact moment you're thinking of him. A place you visit that feels different simply because he's in it. The way your hand finds his naturally, without thought. These are not coincidences, they're reminders. markers on the path that tell you, yes, keep going. You're where you're meant to be. And the most beautiful part? Love like this doesn't make you lose yourself, it makes you more of yourself. It doesn't dim your light, it amplifies it. And in that glow, the two of you become not just lovers, but witnesses to each other's becoming. That is rare. That is worth keeping. There's a peace that comes when you stop questioning why it's working and start trusting that it's meant to. You notice you're no longer bracing for heartbreak, because deep down you know he's not looking for an exit. He's building something with you, not in grand declarations, but in the quiet, consistent ways that matter more than any promise ever could. It's in the way he learns your patterns, not to use them against you, but to understand you better. The way he picks up on your moods before you've even put them into words. The way he sits beside you when you can't explain what's wrong, holding your hand like that's all the explanation he needs. And over time, you begin to see how the universe has been guiding you here all along. Every heartbreak, every wrong turn, every lonely night. It wasn't punishment, it was preparation. It was clearing the space so that when this love arrived, you'd have the capacity to hold it. With him, you start to dream differently. Not just about the life you could build together, but about the life you want for yourself. He doesn't shrink you to fit his plans, he expands them to include yours. He's proud of you in ways that make you feel proud of yourself. And when you stumble, when the old fears creep back in, he doesn't scold you for them. He just reminds you quietly that you're not alone anymore. And maybe that's the final truth the universe wants you to understand. Love isn't meant to be a constant test of endurance. It's meant to be a place you return to, again and again, to rest, to grow, to remember who you are. When you find someone who offers you that without conditions, without games, you've found something worth protecting with your whole heart. One day, without even realizing it, you'll catch yourself in the middle of an ordinary moment pouring coffee in the kitchen, folding laundry while music hums in the background, and he'll look at you a certain way, not with fireworks, not with some cinematic grand gesture, but with the kind of gaze that says, I see you, I choose you, every version of you, and you'll feel it how safe, how steady, how extraordinary it is to be loved like that. How rare it is for someone to witness the unfiltered, unpolished parts of you and still stay. You'll think back to the times you thought love had to be unpredictable to be real, and you'll almost laugh at how wrong that was. Because here, in this connection, you've learned that passion doesn't have to burn you to be intense, that depth doesn't have to drown you to be profound. This is the kind of love that makes space for all of you, the joy, the scars, the mess, the growth. The universe knew what it was doing when it brought you here. It didn't hand you perfection, it handed you possibility. A partnership where two people can face life's storms together, not because they never get scared, but because they trust each other enough to hold on through it. And maybe that's the greatest gift of all. Realizing you no longer have to fight for scraps of affection or beg to be understood. You found someone who speaks the same unspoken language as your soul. Someone who doesn't just fit into your world, but builds a new one with you, one that feels like home. If you have that now, cherish it. And if you're still waiting, trust that the universe hasn't forgotten you. It's just making sure that when your paths finally cross, you'll both be ready to recognize what's in front of you and brave enough to hold on to it.